it's Jennifer from Flux. In this video, we're going to learn how to crochet the Festive Donut Garland. This is such a fun little project, and you can really customize it. You can make as many donuts as you like for this. You can make it very, very long or just do a few. It's totally up to you. I'm going to show you how to make it any length you want. We're going to learn how to make the bottom part of our donut, and then we're going to learn how to add the icing top and crochet that part. We're also going to learn how to embroider these fun little sprinkles all over each donut. And then finally, we're going to put everything together. We're going to seam all this up and assemble it. And then we're going to learn how to put it into a garland with a simple crochet chain and how to incorporate each one into your garland. Now each donut is about 5 inches across, and like I mentioned before, you can make this garland as long or as short as you like simply by adding more or less donuts. And I'm going to show you how to change the spacing of your donuts if you want them closer together or farther apart as well. So let's get started. For this project, you'll need a pair of scissors, a tapestry needle. We're going to be using a 5.5 millimeter eye crochet hook. And then for the yarn, we're going to be using Red Heart Super Saver. We're not going to be using the whole skein of each of these colors, just a little bit of each one. But if you're wondering, each skein is 364 yards. And this is machine washable. And I'm going to be using the buff over here, the perfect pink, and the minty colorway. To begin, we're going to make the donut bottom, and then we're going to make the icing top. So grab the color that you want to use for the bottom. I'm going to be using the buff colorway. And what we're going to do is put a slip knot on our hook. So let me just zoom in a tiny bit so you can see. Wrap the yarn around your fingers to make a loop. Bring the yarn behind the loop. Reach in with your hook, bring up a loop, and tighten. Next, we're going to chain 10. So to make a chain, wrap yarn around hook and bring it through the loop. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Next, we're going to join in the farthest chain from our hook with a slip stitch. So insert the hook into that farthest chain from the hook, bring up a loop. Now bring that loop through the loop that's already on your hook. And now we have our donut center. So the next thing we need to do is chain 4. We're going to start working on round 1. This is only 2 rounds for the bottom. So we want to chain 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Then we're going to work 32 treble crochets into the center of this ring. So we're going to do the first couple together, and then we'll kind of go off and do the rest of them on our own. So to make a treble crochet, wrap yarn around hook 2 times, 1, 2, insert the hook into the center of the ring, bring up a loop. You'll have 4 loops on your hook. Wrap yarn around hook, bring it through the first 2 loops. Wrap yarn around hook, bring it through the next 2 loops. Wrap yarn around hook, bring it through the last 2 loops. So that's a very tall stitch, the treble crochet stitch. Now, as you work these stitches, push them over as you go, and you'll make yourself more space into this ring, okay? Let's do a few more of these together and we'll pick up speed. Wrap the yarn around the hook twice, insert the hook into the center of the ring, bring up a loop, wrap yarn around hook, bring it through the first 2 loops, wrap yarn around hook, bring it through the next 2 loops, wrap yarn around hook, bring it through the last 2 loops, okay? So push that stitch over and move on to the next one. Let's do one more together and then we'll kind of go off and do our own. Wrap yarn around hook twice, insert it into the center of the ring, bring up a loop. 4 loops are on the hook. Wrap yarn around hook, bring it through the first 2 loops. Wrap yarn around hook, bring it through the next 2 loops. Wrap yarn around hook, bring it through the last 2 loops, okay? So you need a total of 32. So let's go off and do 32 of these and then we'll rejoin in just a minute. Just coming up to the end of the round where I'm going to work my last treble crochet into the center of the ring. Just like that, and join at that topmost chain with a slip stitch to finish off the round. Okay, so round 1 is complete. Now before we continue, just a personal preference, I like to trim this, give it a little tug, and just sort of get it out of the way so it doesn't get wrapped up in what I'm doing. So for round 2 of our donut bottom, we're going to chain 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then we're going to work a treble crochet into that first stitch of our round. Let's redo that. Work a treble crochet into the first stitch of the round. And then in the second stitch, the next stitch, we're going to work 2 treble crochets into that stitch. So treble crochet, whoops, treble crochet. And then in the next stitch, we're going to work 1 treble crochet. So we're going to go 1, 2, 1, 2 all the way around. Now let's do a few more together. So we did 1 in that stitch, and the next stitch work 2 treble crochet. So just alternate in each stitch all the way around your donut, okay? So we did 2, so in the next stitch we're going to do 1 treble crochet, okay? So continue doing that all the way around. We're working on our increase here, and when we get towards the end of the round, we'll rejoin. Just coming up to the end of the round here, and our donut is really starting to take some shape. All right, so then what we're going to do at that topmost chain, once again, is join with a slip stitch to close the round. Okay, so here's our donut. Now, if you have a little bit of buckling, it's okay. You can kind of smooth it out on a table. And really, once you get your top icing part and we seam it, it'll straighten out too. So then what you want to do is grab your scissors and just cut the yarn. Now, it's completely up, whoops, it's completely up to you. You can go ahead and weave the ends in now, or you can wait until you assemble everything together. I'm going to go ahead and do this now just to get those ends out of the way. I like to do my ends, I guess, sometimes as I go along. Sometimes I like to just wait to the end. But in this case, let's weave that end in real quick. And my yarn seems to be separating here. There we go. Okay, so this side faced you while you worked. You want to flip it over to the back and just weave in that end. And I'm going to go in one direction with my tail. Try to get it in those back loops if possible. And then come back in the other direction. That'll just kind of lock that tail into place, okay? So just go in both directions. And then just give it a little snip. And we're ready to move on, okay? So it looks great. Okay, so to begin, we're once again going to put a slip knot on our hook. Wrap the yarn around your fingers to make a loop. Bring the yarn behind the loop, reach in with your hook, bring up that loop and tighten. This time we're going to chain 12. So again, to make a chain, wrap yarn around hook, bring it through the loop. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. Okay, so then what we need to do is join with a slip stitch to close the ring. So insert that hook into that chain farthest from the hook. Bring up a loop. Now bring that loop through the loop that's already on your hook. And now we have our icing ring. Okay. For round 1, we're going to chain 3. 1, 2, 3. We're going to hold this tail along the edge of our work as well to weave it in as we go. And then we're going to work 32 double crochets this time into the center of the ring. So to make a double crochet, wrap yarn around hook, insert it into the center of the ring, bring up a loop, wrap yarn around hook, bring it through the first 2 loops, wrap yarn around hook, bring it through the last 2 loops, okay? So let's do a few more of these together and then we'll kind of do the rest on our own, okay? So work another double crochet in the center of the ring, another double crochet. We're just going to go all the way around until we have a total of 32 double crochets. Just working that last double crochet into the center of the ring, and then we're going to count 3 chains up this time. 1, 2, 3. Join with a slip stitch to close the round. Okay, you can give that center tail a tug to kind of straighten everything out. For round 2, we're going to chain 3. 1, 2, 3. Then work a double crochet in that first stitch. And then we're going to do things a tiny bit different than this one. We wanted something very dense for the bottom. For the top, we're going to work a double crochet into the next stitch, then 2 double crochet into the next stitch, all in that same stitch, then 1 double crochet in the next stitch, and then we're just going to kind of repeat this sequence all the way around. So do 1 double crochet, then 2 double crochet, then 1 double crochet, and so forth. Okay. All right, so let's do a couple more together. 2 double crochet in the next stitch, 1 double crochet in the next stitch, 2 double crochet in the next stitch, 1 double crochet in the next stitch. All right, so just keep that sequence going all the way around your circle. And then when we rejoin, we're going to close up this round and we're going to get things all put together with our donut. Just working that last double crochet in our icing top. And then we're going to count 3 chains up, join with a slip stitch to close the round. Okay. Now we're going to use our tail to sew this on. You want to use your icing color to sew because that's going to be the top. Okay. So grab, I don't know, maybe like 2 feet of yarn. That's probably more than enough. And then fasten off, wrap the yarn around the hook, pull it through, and then snug that knot down. Grab your tapestry needle. And then what we're going to do is get that long tail we just cut. I probably cut way too much, but I'd rather have too much than not enough. And then we're going to slide our donut over and just stack it up just like that. Okay, so it looks very donut-esque. Now we're going to thread our tapestry needle and we're going to just sew them right together. Okay. So before we do that though, we don't want to have this little point where our knot was. So just take your tapestry needle and just come in a little bit on that before you start sewing, okay? Otherwise you'll have like this pointy shape and that won't look as nice, okay? So just pull that, tug that in a little bit, and then you can restack. Okay, so then all you're gonna do is just do a running stitch all the way around your donut, okay? So bring your yarn up and just go all the way around the edge here. So just work your stitch around your donut. And then what we're going to do is do our sprinkles next. So work your icing, and then we'll rejoin in just a moment. Okay, we're just coming around our stitching here. And like I mentioned before, the base, if it seemed a little curly, it's just once you get this top sewn on, it's very nice and sturdy. It gives a nice strong base, okay? So I just tied a knot in the back here, and then we can just take our tapestry needle and sort of weave that in. Now, let's put some sprinkles on our donut. You don't have to do this, but they do add a lot of fun to your donut. So we do have our mint, and you might need to shape up your donut once you're done seaming. Let me just zoom out a little bit. We do have our minty yarn, which I'm going to put some mint color sprinkles on our donut. But if you have some scrap yarn as well, now I'm cutting about 18 inches or so. If you do have some scrap colors, grab those too. Those are a lot of fun. So I cut the seam yellow as well. And then just shaping things up a little bit. What we're going to do is we're going to thread our tapestry needle. And we're going to take the donut in our hand and then just come up from the bottom. And we're going to do a series, leave a little tail in the back. We're going to do a little series of short little stitches going in all different directions. Okay, so go that way and then maybe come over here and do one this way. We want them to look as random as possible. Okay, so we're just going to go around our donut and just put some random as possible looking stitches to make sprinkles, okay? So we want to just make them go in all different directions here, and we're going to ultimately end up where we came back from over here, okay? Now, if you notice, I made this one a little bit big, so if you need to pull it out, just kind of dig up under and pull that out, okay? Sometimes when we're embroidering, they don't behave the way we want them to, but we're just going to go in all different directions, working our little sprinkles. Do some sideways, do some that are up and down, side to side, diagonal, all which ways, okay? And these really add a lot to your donut. Now, I've been sort of staying in the middle here, but try to also vary your placement too. Put some towards the center. Put some towards the edge. See how I'm just changing the directions of them? Now let's come back to the edge on this side. And then we'll put maybe one up here. But we just want to try to be as if you sprinkled real sprinkles onto a donut, okay? And then we're right back where we started. So I'm just going to put like one more back in here. Just like that, okay? So they look pretty random. So flip that over and we came back to where we started. So you can just tie that right off like that and just you can trim it flush because this will be the back. If you're hanging it onto a wall or something, you can just, that'll be the back. Now grab your other color if you wish, and you can, I just did bright yellow because these colors look cheerful together, and just do the same thing. Just go around, leave a tail on the back part, and just go around with your yellow and go every which way. So now we have a little bit of a guideline where to put our sprinkles. We want to sort of put them in between. Now these next to it were side to side, so I'll make this one go up and down. I'll make this one go diagonal because the other one was vertical next to it. Okay, so let me finish doing the sprinkles and then we'll rejoin in just a moment and we're going to finish our donut garland up. Okay, I'm done the yellow sprinkles as well. And I do think the yellow sprinkles add a little something to this. Because we're not seeing yellow in either donut icing color, so it does add a little bit more extra to it. Okay, so we have one complete donut. Now, we're going to be using this for a garland, so, and I just gotta say, I just love this little donut, but we're going to be using this for a garland. So my plan is to, I'm going to make a total of 5 or 6 donuts. So just repeat for the number of donuts that you would like for your garland. And I'm going to alternate between the pink icing and the mint icing. So I'm going to go pink, mint, pink, mint. And when we rejoin, so go ahead and make the number of donuts you'd like to make for your garland. And when we rejoin, we're going to learn how to incorporate them into a garland using just a really simple crochet chain. So when we rejoin, we'll have a little stack of donuts and we'll join them all into a garland. So I got all my donuts made. I made 3 pink and 2 of the mint color, and they look so cute. I just have to say, I just really love these donuts. I did grab the mint. You can grab whatever color you want, but we're going to turn them into a garland. Now you can keep them as is and kind of use them for whatever. You could use them for an applique, or if you've used cotton yarn, they would make a cute little coaster. So what we want to do now is you'll want to arrange them how you want them to be on your garland, because we're going to start with a chain and then incorporate one along the top edge and then the next one and so forth. So let's grab, we'll keep these in order, but we're going to kind of scoot them over. Let's grab our first donut. And what we're going to do, now this part is kind of your personal preference. You'll want to decide as you're making the garland, it's just going to be a simple chain, but we're going to determine how much space. Do you want them touching? Do you want them a little bit spaced apart? So you might need to do a little bit of experimentation to see what you really want. So what we're going to do, let me zoom in so you can see this part, is we're going to wrap the yarn around our fingers to make a loop, bring the yarn behind the loop, reach in with your hook, bring up a loop and tighten. And I'm going to do some chains now to give us the kind of handle part or the area where you want to tie it on. So I'm going to make some chains. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, and 30. So you'll want to remember this number because you're going to do the same number of chains at the other end of your garland as well. So next you'll want to grab your first donut, and what we're going to do is go into the back loops of this edge in just 4 of them. Okay, so figure out where you want the top or the bottom to be. And then we're going to go, now if you look at the front of this stitch, you'll see a V, and the front of the V is in the front here facing you. The back of the V is in the back. We're going to go in that back loop and we're going to work a slip stitch, okay? So wrap the yarn, insert it into that back loop only, bring up a loop, bring that loop through the loop already on your hook, okay? Now go into the next one, into the back loops only. We're going to do this 4 times, okay? 1, 2, 3. Make sure you're going into those back loops only. And 4. Okay, this will let everything hang nice and sturdy if we get a couple of stitches on there. Okay, so you're still having that edge, but by going into the back loops, it's kind of behind there, but it keeps the integrity of the roundness of the donut. Okay, now we want to figure out how many chains we want in between. Again, this is a personal preference, so you want to figure out how many actually how much distance in between the donuts. So do we want them touching? I'm going to make mine just slightly spaced, okay? So let's work some chains. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And then what I'm going to do is bring that over, and remember, we're going to do the back loops of 4 stitches, okay? So it's going to hit about where I want it to hit, okay? I need to kind of eyeball it up a little bit. So grab your next donut, and you're going to go into those back loops of your first stitch and work a slip stitch. Go into those back loops again and work a slip stitch. Go into those back loops again and work a slip stitch, back loops again, and work a slip stitch. So you get 4 stitches across, okay? Just like that. And then just check your strand. You could even kind of hold it up and see if it's how you want it to be hanging, okay? So I'm gonna do 12 chains in between, okay? So once again, let's chain 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. Grab your next donut. Now, depending on, you may want to have a whole bunch of donuts and kind of like string it across the room. I'm going to do 5 because I have a spot that's just right for this amount of donuts. Okay, so then what you want to do is, once again, we're going to go into those back loops and work some slip stitches into 4 of those stitches, okay? So 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, so our next donut is all set up. Then we want to work 12 chains once again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. Grab your next donut. We can slide these other ones out of the way and go into any of those stitches and work 4 slip stitches, 1 per stitch. So 1, work a slip stitch into the next stitch, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, so now we have our next donut. Then we're going to chain 12 once again. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let me get a little bit more yarn. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. Grab your next donut and we'll just do the same thing for the last donut. Now if you have more, just keep going. So 1 slip stitch in the first stitch, next slip stitch, next slip stitch. So that was 3 and 4. Okay, so then we need to finish up by doing our little handle on this side as well, like we did over here, and that was 30 stitches, or 30 chains rather. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, and 30. So then we're gonna just cut the yarn, wrap yarn around hook, bring it through the loop, and that's it. So at this point, your garland, now let's get it all straightened out here. Your garland can be ready to be hung. Just make sure your chains aren't twisted because it'll make a difference when it's hanging. Now you can absolutely see these yarn strands. You can trim them flush, or you can sort of try to weave them into the chain. I'm going to leave mine intact because I'm going to use them to tie this up. Okay. So our donut garland is complete and it looks so fun. This would be such a great birthday decoration, or just kind of like if you want to spread some cheer. Let me zoom out so you can see the whole thing. We have our pretty mint garland hanger, I guess you could call it, our chain that we made, and all of our little donuts. So that is how you crochet the festive donut garland. Thanks so much for watching.